Welcome to another edition of Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday, baby. Right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm yours truly, Sydney Brown, aka Sid the Kid. My partner, who's not here at the moment, Miss Lakeena McGee, she's going to join the show later. She has to take care of some duties, but yours truly is going to take you along for the ride from now until 2 o'clock. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidK80. Once again, that's SidK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can follow Lakeena McGee on all social media platforms. She'll let you know where to follow her as usual when she gets here. Now, you can catch Second City Sports every Monday, every Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago, exclusively right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. It's Apple iTunes Store, Amazon, Google Play, wherever you get your apps. Make sure it says Sports Zone Chicago. You can catch any of our live shows, including this one, Second City Sports. If you miss any of our live shows, that's okay. That's why you have the app, because when you have the app, you can go back to archive shows. You miss your favorite moments, your favorite segments. You can go and listen and watch them right there on the Sports Zone Chicago app. And speaking of Sports Zone Chicago, you can follow them on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sports Zone Chicago. Once again, at Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you want to follow our program, Second City Sports, via the podcast platform, listen to us back on the replay, you can do so by subscribing to War on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you type this in your search engine boxes, WARR on Anchor. Once again, on those search engine platforms, on those podcast platforms, make sure you type WARR on Anchor. You can access all the shows from War Media, including Second City Sports. And speaking of War Media, you can follow them on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, at War Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support. And we are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Sports Zone Chicago and Second City Sports. And now, before we get started, if you want to contribute to today's show and comment on any of our topics that we have on during this 2-hour extravaganza, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Just type in your questions or comments during any of our topics or any of our topics during today's show, and we'll get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll or do something stupid, yours truly, and/or Lakeena, whenever she gets here, will give you the boot. And now, since we're going to start to talk NBA basketball, you know, when you start to when things are starting to go your way, you start to get comfortable. You start to coast. And on the flip side, you start to get cocky. You think that things are going to go your way. This is easy. This is going to be another walk in the park. It's going to be a cakewalk. But that was not the case in terms of the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls are currently 2-2 on their West Coast road trip, with they wrapping up their road trip tonight at Denver. But that's at 8 o'clock Chicago time on NBC Sports Chicago and NBA League Pass across the country. But I'm referring to the Bulls' last game on Wednesday, as they dropped one to the Portland Trail Blazers, 112-107, after blowing a 15-point halftime lead. The lead ballooned to 20 midway through the third period. But the Bulls, even though we were praising them for their strong start to the season, even though they're 10-5, this team still has some room to grow. They're not unflawed. They have flaws just like everybody else. But the Bulls are still, I believe, in a good direction. Yes, they're still 5-3 on the road. And yes, they're still one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. But this group is still learning how to gel, and they're going to have to learn how to close out games better. And no evident than what we saw on Wednesday night against the Portland Trail Blazers. Yes, the Bulls are without still Nikolai Vucevic. And he's going to be a big help for the Bulls once he gets back into the lineup. Today marks 1 week that he's missed action due to COVID protocols. So he'll return by sometime early next week. But looking at that game against the Portland Trail Blazers on Wednesday, as a Bulls fan, it was nice to see them hitting their shots in the first half. Damian Lillard, the star point guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, he was shut out on the scoreboard in the first quarter. The Bulls did a tremendous job. Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, whoever took turns guarding the multi All Star, they did their job. But in the second half, they let their foot off the gas, and in Portland, just like any other team in the NBA, when you give chances and leave the door just a little bit of a crack, teams take advantage of it. Good teams take advantage of it, and the Portland Trail Blazers did just that on Wednesday. And Yusuf Nurkic, the big guy for Portland, he was a big reason why. One of the main reasons why Portland was able to come back in that ball game. He was scoring off a pick and roll. The Bulls defended that well in the first half. They just couldn't do it in the second half. CJ McCollum hit some big shots. Dame Dollar, it wasn't a game-winning shot, but he hit some key shots, particularly from three-point land down the stretch of that fourth quarter as well. That's what helped nail down the victory for Portland, in the Bulls' lead. 20-point lead was evaporated. So the Bulls still have some work to do, but even though if you're a Bulls fan, should you be disappointed at what happened on Wednesday? Yes. But this team, I believe, still has an upside. And if they can avoid any injuries, any COVID setbacks, or just setbacks in general, just minimize them and stay healthy. As I said before the season started, stay out of 7, stay basically injury-free and COVID-free. You could be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. I still believe they're going to end between 4 and 6. What happened on Wednesday is not shaking my confidence right now in terms of my predictions for this team for the end of the season. This team is still a top 4, top 5 team in the East, and there should be no problem with them doing that. You're listening to Hashtag Football Friday right here on Second City Sports. Cindy Brown here with you. Lakeena McGee will be joining me later. We're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. If you have a question or comment about the Bulls and the NBA, make sure you go to Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook and Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your questions and comments in the comment section. I will get them up on the screen for you and answer them as best way that I can. Take a look at the box score from the Bulls. Loss on Wednesday. DeMar DeRozan in 36 minutes of action scored 22 points. He was 7-8 from the free throw line and 7 of 19 overall in shooting, but he was 1 for 5 from three-point land, including 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. Of course, as I said before, DeMar DeRozan is the closer for this team. He didn't get it done on Wednesday, but I do not blame DeRozan for his loss. For this loss, he's done everything that he could to bring the Bulls to where they are right now, with the back-to-back 30-point games against the Lakers and the Clippers early in this road trip from last weekend. And so DeRozan, even though he didn't have it on Wednesday, I do not blame him for this loss. He's still the team's best player. He's the closer on this team, period, hands down. Anybody that wants to disagree with me on that, you can do so by going to Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. We'll have a nice, healthy discussion about that. But DeRozan, even though he's the closer on this team, he was 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. He leads the NBA in scoring in the fourth quarter. And he didn't get it done on Wednesday, but as I said before, he's not the reason why the Bulls lost on Wednesday. Tony Bradley Jr., who I expect more from, especially with the injuries to Vucevic and Patrick Williams. He had 21 minutes of action, 6 points and only 4 rebounds. And I know he was in foul trouble early, but I expect just a little bit more from him. And so hopefully, as more playing time that he gets, and depending on the matchups, I expect his production to increase. Lonzo Ball, he had the game of his life for the season so far against the Lakers on Monday night. And Wednesday night's action against Portland, he had 17 points, 4 rebounds, and only 4 assists, but he was in foul trouble all night, so he couldn't really get it going, especially down the stretch. Yes, he was 3 of 5 shooting from downtown, but he was a -10 on the floor. So those things will have to get corrected there. Alex Caruso, with the injury to Vucevic, he has stepped in the starting lineup. Has done a tremendous job in 38 minutes of action from Wednesday. He had 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. So he was only 1 dime away from a triple-double. He didn't shoot the ball well, but what I like about Alex Caruso, he can bring energy, especially off the bench early in the year, and he can bring energy off the bench, and he could provide some additional scoring, and he provides that hustle, and that's what you like about Alex Caruso. He's like a typical Chicago type person. He has that mentality coming off the bench. Well, he's been starting these last few games, but he brings the energy from the perimeter that you need for the singing guards, the best team scorer, the best team's point guard. And he did well in the first half, guarding Damian Lillard. But in the second half, just like everybody else on the team, they struggled on the pick and roll, and Portland got it going in that second half. But Alex Caruso, from the offensive perspective, had a great game. He was 1 assist shy of a triple-double. Of course, Zach LaVine in 37 minutes of action had 30 points, 7 of 12 from three-point range. He was 11 of 20 overall. Zach LaVine, as I said, he's your secondary closer, which is a great role for him. DeMar DeRozan is your first closer. Zach LaVine, it takes pressure off of him at the end of games. Now, he had a chance to tie the game late with 7 seconds to go. He missed a few shots before then, and that's okay. Zach LaVine, he was tired. You could tell, especially in the last 5 minutes or so in that fourth quarter against Portland. He didn't have to live on the shot like he did in the first 2.5 quarters of the game. The fourth quarter when DeRozan was struggling, Zach LaVine did have the Bulls in it, but when it came to the last 2 minutes, he just didn't have it. But you are still encouraged about what Zach LaVine has done so far this season for the Chicago Bulls, even though his jump shot came up short towards the end of that game against the Portland Trail Blazers. Taking a look at the numbers from the bench, they only had 20 points in total from the bench. The bench has done well for Chicago all year long. As I said before, as the bench gives the starters rest and minutes to rest up on the bench will be important for the Bulls this year. And we saw some signs of that on Wednesday, but they didn't do enough, in my opinion. Kobe White, in his second game back, the third-year point guard out of North Carolina, in 10 minutes of action, he didn't score any points. He was 0 for 2 from the field, and the Clean 0 for 2 from, three-point land. But hopefully when Kobe White gets some more playing time, builds some more confidence, he should be able to do just fine. And he's going to take some minutes away from some players. Now, Derrick Jones Jr., who stepped in nicely in playing that 5 position when head coach Billy Donovan goes with the small lineup for Chicago. In 20 minutes of action on Wednesday, Derrick Jones Jr. was 3 of 7, grabbed 2 offensive rebounds. He was a +7, scoring 6 points. Derrick Jones Jr. can bring that energy off the bench for Chicago, but I thought he could have done more. He was in foul trouble, so that hampered him a little bit. But this young man has some athleticism, and he has some talent as well. Of course, he's been around a couple of teams, including the Miami Heat, which picked him up a couple of years ago. So Derrick Jones Jr., I thought he did well in that first half, just like everybody else, but struggled in that second half. Also from the bench, Ayo Dosunmu from Chicago, the rookie point guard out of Illinois, in 17 minutes of action, he had 8 points off of 3 of 3 shooting. I thought he was aggressive once again, and this was a developmental year for Ayo Dosunmu. Of course, with the injury to Kobe White early in the season, he got more ticket. He took advantage of his opportunity. So Ayo Dosunmu, the more he gets playing time as well, his confidence is going to grow, but it's going to take some time for him to do that because he's not scared of the moment. As you could tell, he's not afraid of the pressure. He's adapting to life in the NBA, and he still has some ways to go. But as of right now, he's not scared. He could take the bull by the horns, no pun intended, and he can get things done for Chicago. So he had a decent game on Wednesday. Hopefully he could do more, especially tonight in the game against Denver. Now, taking a look at the numbers on the flip side for the Portland Trail Blazers, Chicago's very own Robert Covington had 10 points. Jusuf Nurkic in 23 minutes of action, their big guy in the middle, he had 18 points. He grabbed 12 rebounds. He was part of that huge comeback, especially in that fourth quarter for Portland. Dame Dollar, as the kids will call him, Damian Lillard had 22 points, including 7 of 7 from the foul line, 3 of 9 for three-point range, and CJ McCollum had 9 points. He had he had a big 3-point shot there in that fourth quarter against the Bulls on Wednesday. That he was 1 of 5 from three-point range. That one 3-pointer came in the fourth quarter. Of course, off the bench for Portland in 25 minutes of action, Larry Nance Jr. added 16 points and grabbed 9 rebounds in all. He was a +10 on the floor. So when you look at the production here for the Portland Trailblazers, they had more bench points than the Chicago Bulls. And as I said before, the Bulls bench must produce 20 more points, 20 points or more if they're able to win ball games. And DeMar DeRozan is the closer for this team, Zach LaVine, and then everybody else follows after that. So the Bulls, hopefully this is a lesson that they don't have to go through too many times, as they'll take on the Denver Nuggets tonight, as I mentioned, at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on NBC Sports Chicago here locally and nationally on NBA League Pass. So those of you that are fortunate enough to watch us in Denver, you'll watch that game on Altitude Sports. You listen to Second City Sports Live and live in color on the hashtag Football Friday on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid the Kid here with you on Second City Sports. Lakeena McGee will join me later, as now we'll get into the best and worst from the association from this past week. And let's go to Tuesday's action. The Golden State Warriors defeated the Brooklyn Nets by the score of 117-99. Steph Curry and his supporting mates, and Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole, they continue to do their thing. And the Warriors had the best record in the NBA. They only have 2 losses, and they're still on their current East Coast road trip. They lost to Charlotte on Sunday night, but they bounced back with a big win on national television against the Brooklyn Nets at Barclays Center. Of course, the second game of that doubleheader was the Utah Jazz defeating the Joel Embiid-led Philadelphia 76ers 120-85. Utah is one of those teams, again, that they could get it done during the regular season, but Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and crew must get it done in the playoffs, because if they don't, changes could be possible for that team on the West Coast. And the San Antonio Spurs, they're going through their rebuild right now. They lost to the Clippers on Tuesday, 106-92. Now to Wednesday's action, the big game on ESPN was the Los Angeles Lakers losing to the Bucks 109-102. The Milwaukee Bucks are on paper the best team in the Eastern Conference. Of course, the record doesn't show it right now because they have injuries to some of their key components coming off the bench. But Giannis Antetokounmpo had 48 points on Wednesday. The Lakers didn't play all that bad. Talen Horton-Tucker had 20-plus points again, and they actually were around from most of that game. You think they had that final push coming down to the last few minutes of the game, but Giannis Antetokounmpo, aka the Greek Freak, said, The Milwaukee Bucks took advantage of the home court, and Giannis went off, and so the Bucks defeated the Lakers by 7 points. Watching a few Lakers games here and there over the last couple of weeks, you could tell that they're missing LeBron James. By the way, LeBron James is questionable for tonight's game against the Celtics. That's at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. We'll get to LeBron's status even more in just a moment. But watching a few Lakers games over the last couple of weeks, you could tell that defensively they don't have it all together yet. And in order to win in this league, even though it's an offensive league, you still need to play defense, especially down the stretch, and keep your opponents in check. And right now, as a team, they haven't done that. Now, offensively, as I said before, Carmelo Anthony has been a huge surprise in the first couple of weeks of the season. But Russell Westbrook, I like him as a player, but we all know he's not a pure shooter. He cannot shoot with some consistency. He can get his numbers up, which is we've seen him do before, and over these last couple of games as well. But when LeBron James gets back, Russell Westbrook's numbers will go down just a bit. So we'll see what happens with Westbrook when LeBron James gets back. How can Russell Westbrook adjust his game to fit LeBron James and Anthony Davis? As I said before, Anthony Davis, the offense should run through him. This is his team now, and he should lead the team in scoring. We're close to 25 to 30 points a game. Everything flows through him offensively, and once that starts to happen for the Lakers, you'll see this team become a better team. Now, other scores to pass along to from this past Wednesday, the Brooklyn Nets got back on track, being the surprising team in Cleveland, 109-99. The Pistons got by the Pacers. The Charlotte Hornets, who are a couple of games over 500, they got past the Wizards 97-87. And so the Hornets, as I said before, they could be one of those teams that can qualify for those last couple of playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. So Michael Jordan, you may not like him as an executive, but this year he has some decent talent around him in Charlotte with Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball in his second year of action, and Gordon Hayward as well. So, and you also have scary Terry Rozier at the point guard position. So you got a nice collection of young veterans and young talent down there in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, be excited right now. So you're starting to, after struggling to start the season, especially with that early road trip, you're starting to pick up some wins at home. So Charlotte is keeping it up right now. Also, a couple other games to review from Wednesday. The Phoenix Suns defeated the Dallas Mavericks 105-98. They'll play again tonight at 9 p.m. That's the second game of the ESPN doubleheader. The Phoenix Suns, of course, they're led by Chris Paul, Devin Booker. They picked up JaVale McGee in the offseason. He's really showing his worth right now, adding some additional scoring, but he brings the defense with the block shots and the offense rebounding. That's what you expect for him. Of course, Phoenix is built on offense with Mikal Bridges, Cam Payne, and Devin Booker, and they're led by veteran Chris Paul. So the Phoenix Suns, they're starting to get the game together a little bit. So we can expect to see the Suns move upward in the Western Conference as they try to prove this year that last year getting to the finals was no fluke. The Miami Heat won their last two games at home. They defeated the Washington Wizards last night, and on Wednesday they defeated the Zion Williamson-less Pelicans 113-98. So Jimmy Butler and those guys, they got it going on right now down in Miami. I know some people want to ignore the Miami Heat as taking them seriously and being a top team in the Eastern Conference. Of course, they reached the NBA Finals a couple of seasons ago in the bubble. And let me just say this, the Miami Heat, they might not be a superstar-filled team. I know they have Kyle Lowry there now running the show at the point guard position, but Eric Spoelstra, their head coach, he gets the best out of his guys. He's done, in my opinion, his best coaching job these last 3 or 4 years, getting the most out of these guys when no one believes in them. They have a balanced roster. Don't forget Bam Adebayo as well, their starting center. He's benefiting from his experience in the Olympics over the summer in Tokyo. You can tell that he's adding some scoring to his game now, along with his great defensive play. So Miami, even though they're not filled on the roster with superstars up and down the list, they'll bring it to you defensively, and they're going to be a tough out come playoff time if this team stays healthy. So don't count out the Miami Heat just yet. And so I think that Miami Heat, along with the Chicago Bulls and perhaps the Boston Celtics, will be battling for their 4th, 5th, and 6th spots in the Eastern Conference. Excuse that water break. I needed that hot talk with the Miami Heat, no pun intended. As you're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sydney Brown here with you. Lakeena McGee will be along for the ride just in a few moments. As we take a look at the schedule for this upcoming weekend in the NBA, starting up with tonight's games, we have the Indiana Pacers at the Charlotte Hornets at 6 p.m. The Golden State Warriors will continue their road trip. They'll take on the Detroit Pistons at the same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, as I mentioned, the ESPN doubleheader at 6:30 p.m. We'll have the Lakers and the Celtics. Expect a lot of throwback clips and throwback moments during the telecast on ESPN tonight, as this is the 75th anniversary of the NBA season. So that's an historic rivalry, and rightfully so. And so I expect to see a lot of that tonight. Hopefully we'll see the great game between two teams. As I said before at the top, LeBron James is questionable with the abdominal strain. He's supposed to make his debut tonight. If he doesn't, I'm sure he'll make his debut Sunday as the Lakers would continue their road trip against the Detroit Pistons. At 6:30, we have the Orlando Magic at the Brooklyn Nets. We had the Thunder in the Milwaukee Bucks at 7 o'clock. Of course, the Bulls and the Nuggets at 8 p.m. Chicago time, wrapping up the ESPN doubleheader at 9 p.m. As I mentioned, the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns. And of course, at 9 p.m., we have the Toronto Raptors and the surprising Sacramento Kings. Going to Saturday night's action, we have a late afternoon contest between the worst team in the NBA record-wise, the Houston Rockets. They'll travel to MSG to take on the New York Knicks, who are 8-7 as of right now. Of course, at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, we'll have the Indiana Pacers hosting New Orleans Pelicans. This is my personally the game of the night tomorrow night. We'll have the Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards in the rematch. Of course, the Miami Heat, as I mentioned before, they defeated the Wizards last night despite Bradley Beal scoring 30 plus points for the Washington Wizards. This is my game of the night. Of course, the Heat are 11-5. The Wizards are 10-5 on the year. The Washington Wizards, they benefited from the Russell Westbrook trade with Kyle Kuzma and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Kyle Kuzma, which those are players that were acquired in that Russell Westbrook trade over the summer. Those guys that I just mentioned, they are filling their roles in nicely right now for the Wizards. So don't forget Daniel Gafford. I know that name sounds familiar to you Bulls fans, but he's doing a very good job patrolling the middle there for the Washington Wizards. So the Wizards and the Heat should be a good contest tomorrow night at 6 p.m. On NBA TV tomorrow night at 6:30, we'll have the Charlotte Hornets traveling to the now resurgent Atlanta Hawks, who are 7-9 on the season. Of course, the Hornets are 9-7. Wrapping up the Saturday nightcap, we'll have the Philadelphia 76ers traveling to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Will Joel Embiid be back by then? We don't know, but we'll see. He's currently still in COVID-19 protocols. And then, of course, the Utah Jazz will wrap up Saturday night against the Sacramento Kings. Now, for Sunday's action, we will have, as I get it up for you in just a moment, we'll have an early matinee game on Sunday. We have the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers tipping off at 2:30 p.m. Chicago time. And of course, as I mentioned with the Lakers earlier, they'll continue their East Coast road trip. This will be game number 3 for them on their road trip as they take on the Pistons at 5 p.m. LeBron James could make his return in the lineup for that game for the Los Angeles Lakers. They need him, and they need him badly. They are currently 4-6 without the King in the lineup. At 7 o'clock Chicago time, we'll have the Chicago Bulls taking on the New York Knicks from the United 7 at 7 o'clock. At that same time, we'll have the Nuggets and the Suns from Phoenix, and then wrapping up the Sunday night action, we'll have the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. So that's your schedule for this weekend in the NBA. As you're listening to Sports Zone Chicago. You listen to Second City Sports live in living color on the hashtag Football Friday. I am Sidney Brown. You can follow me on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80, SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. When we return, we'll have your best and worst, your best bets, not best bets, good grief. We'll have your best pick'ems for college football. This is now week 12 for the college kids. We have some good games on slate tomorrow for college football. We'll tell you who's your Heisman Trophy update, and we'll have some other fun stuff in as well. You're listening to Second City Sports live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Keep it here.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I am Sydney Brown, aka Sid the Kid. Lakeena McGee will join me in just a few moments. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidK80. Once again, that's SidK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. And you can, if you have a question or comment for yours truly, or whenever Lakeena gets here, you could do so by going to Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your comments in the comment section. Yours truly will get them up on the screen for you. Now let's head towards, before we get preview tomorrow's games for the world of college football for week 12. We'd like to say congratulations to the Northern Illinois Huskies football team. They are the champions of the MAC West after defeating the Buffalo Bulls 33-27 in overtime on Wednesday. The Huskies are now 8-3 on the year, 6-1 in the MAC. Rocky Lombardi gets it done for NIU, 17-27, 197 yards, but their star wide receiver, Cole Tucker, got it done with 10 catches and 89 yards. As we said all year long, guys, Northern Illinois has a chance to play in the MAC Conference Championship game in Detroit next month. They assured their spot that they will do that. This has been the only consistent team college-wise in the state of Illinois. We all know this with the struggles of the Northwestern and they find the Illini with Brett Bielema. He's going through his trials and tribulations down there in Champaign with that football program. So Northern Illinois, congratulations to them once again. They are the MAC West champs, and they are now 8-3 on the year and 6-1 in the MAC conference. Take a look at a couple of games tonight for college football on CBS Sports Network at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is Southern Miss versus Louisiana Tech. At 8 p.m. on ESPN2, we have Memphis versus number 24 ranked Houston Cougars, who are 9-1 overall, 7-0 in the American Conference. So this should be a good one there. And then at 8 o'clock on the Pac-12 Network, we have Arizona taking on Washington State, who are 5-5 on the year. We'll see what happens in that one. And then, of course, on FS1, Air Force at 7-3, 4-2 in the Mountain West will travel to Nevada, who also posts the 7-3 record and 4-2 conference record in the Mountain West. So this is a big game for both of these schools. See who has the right to take over that division in the Mountain West with identical records. Look out for Nevada's starting quarterback, Carson Strong. He's been putting up great numbers for the Wolfpack this year. He has over 3,500 yards and 28 touchdown passes. He has a strong arm, so offensively Nevada can bring it. But watch out for Air Force; they'll shut it down, especially in the running department. You have Brad Roberts, who has 10 total rushing touchdowns over the course of the season with over 1,000 yards, 1,064 to be exact. So this is an underrated game. I know it's not getting a ton of attention nationally, but this should be a good one tonight. That's at 8 o'clock again, once again on FS1. And then at 10:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network, the number 19 ranked San Diego State Aztecs, they will take on UNLV. That's at 10:30 on CBS Sports Network. San Diego State, with a 5-1 conference record in the Mountain West, they are 9-1 overall. And now let's get to the games that will be taking place tomorrow at 11 o'clock on ESPN Plus and SEC and Network, the SEC Network Plus. We have number one ranked Georgia Bulldogs that will host Charleston Southern. That's at 11 a.m. Of course, Georgia are there 10 in all the year. It shouldn't be a problem for Georgia, as they should look for them to post that record to 11-0. Go to 11-0 on the season. Big one, the first game of the ABC triple header. that takes place tomorrow in the Horseshoe. The number 4 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, they'll host number 7 Michigan State Spartans. Of course, both teams are top of the Big Ten conference-wise. Michigan checks in with a 9-1 record, 6-1 in the Big Ten. Ohio State 9-1 overall, 7-0 in the Big Ten. As I stated before, guys, Ohio State did not this a dominant team as they were in years past, but they have found some way to get it done in the last couple of weeks, especially last week against Purdue. Ohio State, it looks like they're starting to get their game back, and quarterback C.J. Stroud is starting to put up numbers. He has 30 touchdown passes so far this season, over 3,000 yards passing. Watch out on the other side for Michigan State. Kenneth Walker III, who in my personal opinion should be the top candidate for the Heisman Trophy. Off of 227 carries, he has over 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns on the year. He's going to be the key for Michigan State to neutralize that defensive front for the Ohio State Buckeyes. If Michigan State can control the line of scrimmage and let Kenneth Walker go wild, Michigan State has a great chance for an upset. Right now, the line is at Ohio State at 19.5 points. I think Michigan State can stay with Ohio State, but Michigan State is going to have to play near to perfect game, no stupid penalties, and they have to run the ball and stay disciplined. If they can do those things, they'll have a shot at an upset. But I think Ohio State is going to win a close one there. At 11 o'clock on ESPN, number 10, Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons will travel to Clemson to take on the Tigers. Clemson, a quiet 7-3 start to the season. They're 5-2 in the ACC. When Wake Forest is 9-1 and 6-0 in the ACC. And Wake Forest, their star quarterback Sam Hartman is having a tremendous year with 30 touchdown passes, over 3,100 yards passing, and their running back Christian Beal Smith has 7 touchdowns on the year off of 107 yards, 107 carries, and 533 yards rushing. So Wake Forest, can they do it? It's going to be tough. Clemson's favored by 4.5. And I think Wake Forest can get it done. I know Clemson's been going under the radar, but I think Wake Forest can pull that one off. At 11 o'clock and big news Saturday, Fox's noon kickoff game of the week. We have 6-4 Iowa State. The Cyclones will travel to Oklahoma to take on the Sooners. The Sooners are ranked number 13 in the country. They are 9-1 on the season, 6-1 in the Big Ten. Can I say offense will rule the day? I think it'll be safe to say that. Brock Purdy, the star quarterback for Iowa State, he has 15 touchdown passes throughout for the year. He has over 2,400 yards passes, so he'll look to keep the Iowa State Cyclones in it. But I think Oklahoma, after losing to Baylor last week, I think Oklahoma will turn around and get it done. They're favored. Oklahoma, that is, they're favored by 3.5 points. Also at 11 o'clock on ESPN Plus, we have number 25 Mississippi State at 6-4. They'll host Tennessee State. They are 5-5. Scrolling down the schedule on the Big Ten Network at 11 o'clock, we'll have 6-4 Purdue traveling to Chicago to face Northwestern, who are 1-6 in the Big Ten, 3-7 overall on the season. This game will take place at Wrigley Field. This is the first time in the several seasons that Northwestern has played a game in Wrigley Field. Could it be a tradition on a year-by-year basis or every other year? We shall see, but this game will take place on the Big Ten Network tomorrow at 11 a.m. from Wrigley Field. The forecast for that one will be partly sunny, and the temperature will be 48 degrees. Also, at the same time on the Big Ten Network, 5-5 Rutgers will travel to Happy Valley to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions, who check in with a 6-4 record overall and 3-4 record in the Big Ten. Going to continue on with the scheduling. At 1 o'clock on FS1, we'll have the Fighting Illini at checking in at 4-6. The Brett Bielema's, even though they struggled so far this year, they're one game below 500 in the Big Ten. They'll travel to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa, to take on the 17th-ranked Hawkeyes, who check in with an 8-2 record and a 5-2 record overall in the Big Ten. I know Illinois has had some success lately on the road, especially with that victory over Penn State a couple of weeks ago in 9 overtimes. So I know Iowa's a 12.5 point favorite. Can Illinois do it again? I doubt it. They may surprisingly can stay in this game, but I think Iowa is just too much for them. So I'm taking Iowa plus the points here. So you go with Iowa on this one. At 1:30 p.m. on NBC, we have number 8 ranked team in the nation, the Lakeena McGee's of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're 91 on the year. They'll host Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets are checking in with a 3-7 mark. Of course, this game is in South Bend. Notre Dame, even though they lost a couple of games there early in the season, in one particular to the Cincinnati Bearcats. The Fighting Irish have a strong running game, and their defense is not too shabby either. I expect those things to continue for the Fighting Irish there at home. Drew Brees is going to help call the game for NBC Sports. I think Notre Dame, even though they don't get the love that many people feel that they should get in terms of the college football playoff, we'll discuss that more in just a couple of minutes. But the Fighting Irish should have no problem with Georgia Tech. Once again, that game will take place at 1:30 p.m. from South Bend at Notre Dame Stadium tomorrow on NBC. On CBS at 2:30 in SEC action, the number 21 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, after struggling for the last couple of weeks, they check in with a 3-3 mark in the SEC, 7-3 overall. They'll travel to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to take on the number 2 ranked team in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama's 91 overall, 5-1 in the SEC. When you take a look at the star players for Alabama, Bryce Young leads the charge for the Crimson Tide, their star quarterback. He has 3,225 yards passing for the year, along with 33 touchdowns. And their stud running back, Brian Robinson Jr., off 164 carries, he has over 800 yards and 14 total touchdowns. And their star wide receiver, Jamison Williams, has 51 catches for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. If in Alabama, it's a 20.5 point favorite. Can Arkansas stay in this one? Maybe, but I doubt it. If they can, it's the same thing with Michigan State against Ohio State. If Arkansas can stay in it and not have any penalties in a hostile environment, if they can run the ball and create a couple of early turnovers, maybe Arkansas can hang in there for a while. But I think Alabama has too much, and I think they'll pull away in this one. As we welcome in our good friend, Miss Lakeena McGee, my co-host, I'll leave the dirty language alone. But so I was gonna say something else I wasn't sure about, Lakeena, even though it wasn't gonna be taken the wrong way. But I'll keep quiet on that. I'll welcome you to the program. How are you doing there, Miss?
I'm hanging in there, Sid. I heard you were talking about we're doing some college football. We only got about a couple more weeks left in this in the season. So yeah, I mean, what matches have you broken down so far?
The Michigan State, Ohio State, of course, that's the first game for the ABC folks tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I said that Michigan State has a realistic shot at an upset. I think Ohio State will make a couple of big plays down the stretch to get it done. But I'm looking for Kenneth Walker to have a great day for Michigan State running the football. Michigan State, just like Arkansas I talked about just a couple of moments ago, Michigan State going to have to play near perfect ball. The defense got to force a couple of turnovers, which is very difficult to do in a hostile environment, but they got to play disciplined, no false starts, and Kenneth Walker just run the you-know-what out of him. That's the only shot they'll have against Ohio State on the road.
Well, remember, Ohio State's got a pretty good running back themselves and Travion Henderson. So it's definitely going to be the battle of the running backs. And I think, look, it's always fun when these two teams battle it out. So we'll see if, this also could be key here because Michigan plays Maryland at 2:30 on Big Ten Network. So if Ohio State wins and Michigan takes care of business, that game next Saturday is very important for multiple reasons. So if you're Michigan, you're cheering for Ohio State. So yeah, should be a fun one over there at the Horseshoe.
Yes, it should be. Sticking with the Big Ten at 2:30 p.m. on ABC, we have Nebraska, even though they're having a disappointing season at 3-7 overall. They'll go to Camp Randall to take on number 15 ranked Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin 7-3 overall, 5-2 in the Big Ten. Look for a big day from Wisconsin's running back, Braylon Allen. He has 9 touchdowns overall for the year, over 800 yards rushing. As we said for the last couple of weeks, Lakeena, Wisconsin is starting to turn this. They have turned their season around after a disappointing 1-3 start. They're getting it done offensively in terms of running the ball, but it's been their defense has been key as well.
It is good. Yeah, it has been very key for them. And look, Wisconsin's the driver's seat in the Big Ten West, so they just got to keep winning, and they'll be that division is theirs for the taking. So should be it should be a fun one. We'll see if Nebraska can pull off the upset.
Yes, before we continue with the schedule, Lakeena, as I remind our listeners, you're listening to Sports Zone Chicago on the hashtag Football Friday as we go through the key games in Week 12 of the college football season. Sid and now Miss Lakeena McGee here with you. Lakeena, the Fighting Illini, they're taking on Iowa tomorrow. Iowa's ranked number 17 in the country. I believe Iowa's a 20-point favorite, if I read correctly. I know Illinois has shocked some people on the road the last couple of weeks, including that Penn State game, which took forever to complete.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Brett Bill must have a chance?
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, look, I think strange days have happened, and you know what? I think it's like I said before, it's going to be very interesting, in this matchup, and it should. Like I said before, I mean, Camp Randall, like I said before, sure that place will be rocking. So we'll see what happens there.
And one more game before we move on, Lakeena. Wrigley Field tomorrow.
Yep,
Purdue Northwestern.
Northwestern, yeah.
That's going to be a cool sight to see. Does Northwestern have a shot? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Purdue's trying to kind of, bounce back from that loss last week to Ohio State. So they're definitely trying to, get back into on the winning track there. And I think Northwestern just doesn't really have it this year. Let's see what else here. Let me see. Go ahead, Sid. Sorry.
No, at 3:00 on the Fox, we'll have UCLA traveling to USC. UCLA, the Chip Kelly's checking in at 6-4. USC at 4-5. UCLA is favored by 3.5. I would say UCLA should have no problem with this one. I think they'll win, but I think it's going to be surprisingly closer than what people think. Maybe it's just me.
Well, yeah, look, it's always fun when these two, this is an old rivalry here, crosstown rivals. USC is the host this year.
Yeah,
and
the Battle of LA.
Yeah, SC, you're playing for pride at this point if you're SC.
Yeah.
So, and also too, you're Chip Kelly. You can't afford to lose to your crosstown rivals. So, look, I think it'll be close though than most people think. So we'll see what happens. Over there at the Rose Bowl tomorrow. Probably the big game in the Pac-12 that's on ABC in prime time. You got Oregon and Utah. This is big for both of them. I think Oregon can't afford another loss. They want to stay within the playoff chase. And Utah, you're trying to stay in the driver's seat in the Pac-12 South. So this is definitely a game that could definitely decide a lot of things.
Yeah, your West Coast football is getting highlighted in prime time, and congratulations. As you mentioned, Utah, they've been hubbing around the top 25 all year long. They're 7-3. I think both teams really need this game, but I think Utah needs it more. In terms of the playoff, Oregon, you took the words right out of my mouth. If they lose this one, they may not get that spot back in terms of the college football playoff. So the pressure's on them more, but who needs that game more? I believe Utah does.
Yeah, I think so as well. So, look, this should be a fun one. Let's see. Texas Tech, I think Oklahoma State should be on upset alert against Texas Tech. That's a 7:00 game on Fox. Let's see here. What else?
We have Baylor taking on Kansas State tomorrow at 4:30 on FS1. Kansas State is favored by a point. Baylor, of course, with that big upset win at home against Oklahoma last week. Do you think that Baylor should be on the upset alert?
I think so. I think I think K-State is one of those schools that you'll definitely get a run from them. So they're 7-3. So I know Baylor's on a high from that win against Oklahoma, but so I would say hopefully they don't have a letdown against K-State, but you never know. So look, and they're at home too. So the folks in Manhattan are going to be rocking.
At 6:30 p.m. on the SEC Network, we have Ole Miss ranked number 12th in the country. The Bulldogs will host the Vanderbilt Commodores. There's no upset alert here, is it?
No,
No?
it shouldn't. Hopefully,
Okay, Mississippi
hopefully,
State, by the way, is favored by 36.5 points.
yeah. So it's not. Yeah, I think it shouldn't be a problem in there. Herm Edwards, the Fighting Herm Edwards, Arizona State and Oregon State on ESPN. That's another late game. So, you're hoping that maybe, that if especially if Utah loses, and maybe you can see if,
Mhm.
they could perhaps maybe pave the way for them in the Pac-12 South. We'll see.
Yep, at 7 o'clock Chicago time on CBS Sports Network tomorrow, Utah State, the 8-2 Utah State will host Wyoming, who they're checking in. The Cowboys are checking in at 5-5. Your West Coast football against the love again on prime time.
Mhm.
Should Utah State be on upset alert, even though they're favored by 5.5?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're still like in the thick of it in their division, the Mountain West. So
Okay.
Wyoming's 5-5. So I mean, hopefully they don't take the Cowboys likely, the Utah State, I mean. So they're trying to kind of keep themselves in striking distance in their division. So, I think they should. I'm not saying that they will get upset by Wyoming, but I think they should be on upset alert.
Okay, at 11 o'clock a.m. on the ACC network, we have Boston College at 6-4. They struggled here, but at starting strong to the season. They'll host the 4-6 struggling Florida State Seminoles. Boston College is favored by 2.
Should be interesting one in that one. I know Florida State's probably going to be riding high for that win against Miami. They're another rival there, so should be a fun one in that sense. But it's all BC. That should be an interesting one to say.
A couple of the games to get your quick thoughts on, as I talked about earlier before you joined us. Number 10, Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, they're going to travel to Clemson to take on the Tigers. The Clemson Tigers quietly are 7-3. They're not going to compete for the college football playoff this year, but I think Wake Forest should be on upset alert. I think Clemson can get this one. Clemson's favored by 4.5.
Yeah, I think Clemson would love to play spoiler though. I think
Yeah.
they're in spoiler mode, so I think they can definitely, perhaps maybe spoil the party. But yeah, I think look, they're more than capable. I think they're starting to get better, and look, they're sort of like being the forgotten person. So I think I think they would love to play spoiler for Wake Forest.
And I recapped a preview this game earlier. Number 13 ranked Oklahoma, the Sooners. That's going to be the big noon game on Fox. They'll host Iowa State. The Cyclones are 6-4 on the year. Oklahoma is a 3.5-point favorite. Lakeena, I know that Oklahoma's only loss was against Baylor last week. They can't be an upset alert again, can they? I have them winning, but it should be a shootout, because we all know the Big 12, they love to throw that ball around like PlayStation. So I expect nothing but that tomorrow.
Yeah, it could be first to 50, I think.
Don't be surprised.
Right? I mean, look, I don't look. I think Texas has struggled lately. West Virginia can score. I've said it before, but I don't. Yeah, should be. Look, I think Texas is still smarting from that loss last week, so to Kansas. So I think they would love to. I'm sure they would love to, redeem themselves, and should be a fun one in Morgantown.
Okay, yeah. So do you give Iowa State a chance against Oklahoma, or?
Gosh, I mean, I think Iowa State beat the last couple of times they played. So, you think OU would be a little upset in their loss to Baylor? Hopefully, look, hopefully the defense will wake up. I mean, like I said before, Iowa State's had their number the last couple of years. So.
You're listening to Hashtag Football Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Second City Sports. Sid Lakeena here with you. If you want to make a comment on any of our topics during today's show, you can do so by going to Facebook's Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook, or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your questions or comments in the comments section. We'll get them up on the screen for you. If you decide to do anything stupid, Lakeena will give you the boot.
Bye.
Lakeena, also too. The Northern, I gave some congratulations to the Northern Illinois Huskies, as they're now the MAC West Division champs. They defeated the Buffalo Bulls 33-27 in overtime on Wednesday. They're gonna Northern Illinois is gonna play in the conference title game with Detroit next month. You would think they have a shot, assuming they win that game, to go to a better bowl game this year, not just one of them toilet.com bowls, those small bowls that no one gives a damn about around Christmas time.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I mean, look, congratulations to the Huskies, and I don't think look, no one thought that this team would go far this year because a lot of people thought that this is going to be a rebuilding year for the Huskies. So the fact that they actually came on and they've played right down, grinded out. Thomas Hammock, this is his, I think his second year at the helm. He's only 40 years old. And already has his team, winning the division and going for the MAC title. I think, look, congratulations to the Huskies, and let's give them some love.
Yep. So as we said before, congratulations to the Northern Illinois Huskies football team. Lakeena, I know we're running up against it. We got about a minute left in this segment to close out the first hour of the show. Who are your top 3 Heisman Trophy candidates? Like I said, Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State. He's my top Heisman choice right now.
Yeah, I think,
and he doesn't get enough love as far as that is concerned, in my opinion.
Because usually it's a quarterback, one,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
I think C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, his teammate TreVeyon Henderson, I think Kenneth Walker Jr., Bryce Young from Alabama. I think those are probably your 4 right now. But I think like the playoff, everything will be decided. So that's so it'll be interesting.
All right. Hour number 1 down in the books. Hour number 2 straight ahead. You're listening to Second City Sports. We're live and in living color on the hashtag Football Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. When we return, we'll preview the Week 11 matchup in the national week. Repeating myself. That's bad English, Sid. Bad. But we'll preview the matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Baltimore Ravens. Do the Bears actually have a shot coming off a bye week, even though they'll be at home? Or will Lamar Jackson making his debut in Chicago, or will he just run all over that old-ass Bears defense? Of course, we'll highlight the other games in Week 11 in the NFL. Of course, at the bottom of the hour, we'll have our buddy Miss Christine Manika from KXRB Radio in South Dakota to help pick the rest of the NFL slate. You're listening to Second City Sports right here, live and in living color, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday, baby. Right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
Follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you go to Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your questions or comments in the comment section. Excuse me. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you, and we'll do as best as we can to address those inquiries. But if you decide to do something silly or stupid, Lakeena will give you the boot.
Bye-bye.
Speaking of giving folks the boot, let's get into some NFL talk right now, and we will start with our Chicago Bears. They're checking in with a 3-6 mark. They're hosting the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens on Sunday at the Lakefront. That game will be seen on CBS at high noon, and we'll get the number one CBS crew: Lakeena, Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wilson. I found that to be surprising as I read the list of the announcers this morning. Tony Romo, it depends on how the game goes. I don't think it's going to be as bad as the last game they did, Bears game they did with Tampa and the Bears a month ago. But it depends on how the game goes. I think Tony Romo will give Lamar Jackson his roses. And Justin Fields, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was last month, but we'll see what happens. I think he'll be more comparable to Mr. Fields, but we'll see how the game goes. But let's break down this matchup, Lakeena. Baltimore, they're 2-2 on the road this year, even though they're 6-3 overall. Lakeena, I was looking up some numbers this morning. Baltimore, over the last couple of years, but in particular this season, they have not played well on the road. I know they lost at Miami 10 days ago on Thursday Night Football on the road. They got dominated. I know they lost on the road to start the year at Las Vegas against the Raiders, but they were a historic field goal away from losing at Detroit. The only game they looked great in was an early season win at Denver. Besides that, they have not looked great on the road. They average more points per game at home than they do on the road. I think the Bears, just from that standpoint, they have a chance in this one. They have a chance. Of course, the Bears are coming off a bye week. Khalil Mack, even though he was not placed on IR, is still up in the air whether he's going to play on Sunday or not. Lakeena, I think from that alone, the Bears do have a shot, but I'm just afraid, and I'm using air quotes here for those listening back on the replay. I'm just afraid that Lamar Jackson, even though Baltimore cannot run the ball well without Lamar Jackson's dual threat action, I'm just afraid that Lamar is going to do everything in his power to will the Baltimore on to victory. On paper, the Bears can make it interesting that they had a week to prepare with their bye week, but if Lamar gets it going, none of the stuff I just said just now is going to matter.
Yeah, it really isn't, and I feel like I know. Look, I think Jackson, Hollywood Brown, I think they're all in practice today, so that's there were some rumors that maybe they wouldn't be able to play, but it looks like they'll be able to play. And some news coming out of the NFL Network with Mr. Ian Rappaport. He says that Khalil Mack is going on injury reserve to have season-ending foot surgery, so he is done for the year. Hence why they signed veteran linebacker Bruce Irvin to the fold. I don't think he's played. When's the last time he's played? It's been a minute since he's played.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, and even he said there's something. Oh, okay, I've been at home, so we'll see how he looks. Also, Trevathan is also having surgery, so he's going on IR, so he's done for the year. I mean, look, do the Bears got a shot to beat the Ravens? Sure, but can they execute? I think that's going to be the question. And I think I'm a little surprised that we do get the CBS crew, but I think the CBS only has like 4 or 5 games this week, so that's why that they're. That's why we're getting the number one crew, because their schedule isn't it's very light this week. So,
yeah,
it's I don't know. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little flummoxed, but yeah, I mean, look, I think Fields has shown like a lot of great progress, which I think that's what you want to see if you're a Bears fan. Now. I know Baltimore's dealt with a lot of injuries and such, and and I know they just released Le'Veon Bell. They still got a pretty good running tandem. We got Devontae Freeman, also to Latavius Murray. Sammy Watkins, when healthy, he's really good. I know Bateman, I know he practiced too because he's been struggling with some injuries. On the defensive side, you got guys like Calais Campbell, you got Justin Houston. So, a lot of they got a lot of formidable folks. I mean, Marlon Humphrey, we'll see how he matches up with, Darnell Mooney and A Rob. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens here, but it should be an interesting game.
You're listening to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday, live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you as we preview Baltimore and Chicago coming up this Sunday on the lakefront. You can watch that game at high noon Central Standard Time on CBS. Lakeena, I'm glad you brought up the Ravens secondary. I know if you're a casual fan, you look at the Ravens. Oh, they got that great defense from a few years ago, the Ray Lewis and crew. No, this is not that same defense, folks. No, that secondary is one of the worst in the NFL. And what frustrates me is that even though we have Justin Fields on our side, he could throw the ball down the field, but if the Bears' running game is not on point, and they don't let Justin Fields use the tight ends, I'm talking about Jesse James, Jimmy Graham, and Cole Kmet, you definitely do not have a threat downfield.
No,
Allen
you
Robinson
don't.
and Darnell Mooney will be taken out of the game plan immediately. But if the Bears can run the ball and establish that up front early, you could test that Ravens secondary later on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely gonna be a matchup there, and I feel like, we'll see. I mean, Eddie Jackson looks like he might be able to play. He might be able to play today, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he matches up against Brown and Watkins, and that O line. I know. Look, that Baltimore defense is very opportunistic. So look, I'm sure they would I'm sure they would love to kind of. I know they felt humiliated in that game against Miami. Is the Bears defense going to start blitzing? But yet you're going to have Bruce Irvin, a guy who hasn't played in like almost 2 years. So that's going to be kind of like the thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, this game is a very. Look, like I said before. I mean, this game's going to be it's going to be a very strange game, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Bruce Irvin and Alec Ogletree could be buddies because both of them were picked up off the scrap heap before the season started. At least Alec Ogletree had some form of a training camp. He played in the preseason, but like I said, Bruce Irvin has been sitting on the couch all year. And Ryan Pace said, "Oh, we need you because Khalil Mack is going on IR." On the flip side for Baltimore, of course, we talk about Lamar Jackson. You mentioned Marquise Hollywood Brown. His older cousin is in a little bit of hot water. We'll mention that later. But but what Baltimore does, perhaps better than any other team, Mark Andrews and I forgot the other tight end's name. They use their tight ends very well. When Lamar Jackson is looking for a bailout throw, he usually throws to his tight ends, especially at the goal line. Pay attention to that when you watch the game on Sunday. If and when Baltimore enters, I'm gonna say when WHEN, when Baltimore enters the red zone, they're gonna use their tight ends a little bit more.
Yeah, it'll be. Oh yeah, I think Mark. I think Nick Boyle is who the other tight end you're referring to. Yeah, yeah, but no problem. Oh, absolutely, and it's gonna. Like I said before, I mean, look, I think Baltimore's gonna want to redeem themselves after what happened in Miami. They've had 10 days off to kind of focus on everything, and look, it'll be interesting if the Bears decide to blitz Lamar because he does not do very well when he has to improvise. But then again, I'm sure. Look, then again, we'll see if the defense can blitz Fields. I mean, I think that's going to be the thing. So it's all going to be relative as to who is going to be the more opportunistic. Well, the offense, whose offense going to be more opportunistic? And whose defense will be more opportunistic? So that's going to be the key here, I think.
Here's the thing about both quarterbacks. First, for Lamar Jackson, the reason why he's lasted this long in his career, even though it's a very young career of his, he doesn't take a lot of big hits. On the flip side, we know Justin Fields is tough. I really admire him for that. But to me, those hits is going to shorten his career. And that's what I'm afraid of. Not so much this Sunday, but going forward. Lamar Jackson is playing smart. Not saying Justin Fields isn't playing smart. I think Mr. Fields will continue to grow and get better and mature. But Lamar Jackson does not take a lot of big hits. And I hate to say it, Lakeena, I wouldn't be surprised if that trend continues on Sunday.
Well, it could, right? I mean, I think, look, it's definitely one of those things. I mean, I know look, we'll see if this is going to be a breakout game for Justin Fields. Could it be the run game? I mean, how many times will David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert will be used? I mean, that's going to be the real key here. And I feel like I think Hicks didn't practice either. He hasn't practiced either the last couple of days, so the defense is a little bit banged up. So this is going to be really going to be the thing here, that who's, which team can kind of like, both teams are banged up. So you just don't know. Like I said before, this could be one of those 9-6, 12-9, or 12-10 or something. I mean, that's it's going to be that kind of game. Look, it's been a while since has Baltimore ever beaten Chicago since moving to Baltimore? I don't think so. I think they might have. They haven't played that many times anyway. I think the last time they played was I think
27. Yeah,
Yep.
well, 2017 was the last time the Bears played the Ravens. Like you said, they don't play each other for every 4 years, and that was, I think Mitchell Trubisky was in that game, if I remember correctly. That was Trubisky's 2017. Yeah, that was Trubisky's rookie year, and that was John Fox's last year in the Bears head coaching slot. I know 4 years before that, if you remember, it was supposed to be a noon game, but that tornado threat in Chicago moved that game up to 3:00. That was 2013 during Mark Trestman's first year. It was all offense, but that defense was old and bad in a hurry, and they couldn't make it to the playoffs. And they lost on the last day against Green Bay. But that last time Baltimore was here in Chicago 8 years ago, the Bears barely squeaked out a win against the Ravens in that one. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, and I think you remember that game well. I know you do. So do I. So yeah, that actually ended up being a pretty good game. So it'll be interesting to see if the same is here. I mean, like I said before, it could be one of those games where we just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, if you're a Bears fan, you do have a shot, but like I said, we just don't know what's going to happen. Now, last note or two on this game before we move on to highlight some of the other key matchups for this Sunday's action. Checking in on offense, the Bears are ranked second from last in total offense. The Ravens are ranked sixth in total defense. Baltimore is at number 18. The Bears are seventh, even after that performance last Monday night. In passing, the Bears are ranked dead last. Baltimore 12th. In total rushing, Baltimore number 3. The Bears 9th.
Oh gosh, yeah. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Numbers never lie, folks.
No, they don't. And look, it's good. Like I said before, I mean, it could very well end up being, who. Look, I think this game could go in all different directions. Yeah, it could be. I don't think neither's going to get blown out. It could come to like maybe 7 to 10 points. We just don't we just don't know what's going to happen. Like I said before, it could be one of those, 9-6 or 10-9 or 12-10 or something like that. So it's going to get out.
Yeah, as usual, we'll give out our picks for the games and the others during our next segment. You're listening to Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago on the hashtag Football Friday. Sid, Lakeena here with you. You have any questions or comments on NFL and the Bears? You can go to Sports Zone Chicago on Facebook or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Place your comments or questions in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, before we move on to the highlight some of the other games for Sunday, I want to stick with the Bears angle for just a minute. You mentioned Khalil Mack has been placed on IR. It looks like Danny Gervais, who they haven't missed, is going. The same thing is going to happen to him. Call me common sense stupid, but this is all about how Justin Fields will progress from now until the end of the regular season. We all know that the Bears are not a playoff team, and we told you that during the summer. This is all about Justin Fields' development at this point, and anybody else who should remain on this team or some other team for next year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is, or maybe another coaching staff for the Bears.
Yeah. I was bringing up the coaching staff. Are we watching the final 8 games of Matt Nagy's coaching career in the Bears uniform? Call me crazy, but I'm going ahead and say yes.
I think so too. I think no matter what, if they end up finishing 4-4, which means they would be okay. They're 3-6 now. It means there would be 7-10. So you think that's going to be is that going to be enough for Nagy to come back? I don't know. Do you think look at their schedule? I mean, do you see 4 wins, Sid?
You may see a win or two that they're not expected to win. It always happens. Look at the last 3 weeks of the NFL.
Yeah.
And that should tell you something. Well, that same trend continue. We'll have the answers for you coming up. But one is about the development of Justin Fields. Let's just say he improves, as you said, let's just say they get to 7-10 or 8-9. We know the McCaskies. Look what happened last year, and they barely made the playoffs after a 6-game losing streak, and they got, even though they lost close to the New Orleans Saints, they looked terrible. And the McCaskies, as we told you guys before then, and after that stupid press conference back in January, they brought them all back. If they're 7-10 and Justin Fields is improving, or somehow 8-9, I hate to say it, I still see the same damn scenario, and it just gets frustrating and annoying at this point, Lakeena.
It does.
I could get upset like I am right now, but
but yeah, I see where I know where you're coming from, and it's really, it's just I don't know. I don't know what to think about this team. I mean, the Bear, look, they're not going to the playoffs. Well, let's be honest here. I mean, can they at least, make themselves respectable? Can they be, 8-9 or 7-10? I mean, could they do that? Sure. But again, if you're, is that going to be enough to save Matt Nagy's job? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they have Detroit's next Thursday on Thanksgiving. Do you think, weird things happen on Thanksgiving? So could it?
Yeah.
Could they,
should the Bears lose that game? I think that'll be the end of Matt Nagy. It should be. But you talking to the McCaskies, and they have a different answer for you.
And you have the Cardinals that Sunday afterwards. I think they're going to be coming off a bye. They're like one of the last teams to be on bye, so they're going to be coming off a bye. So that's we'll see where everyone is by then. But that's not going to be that'll probably be a loss. The Packers, at Lambeau, so they're on a mission. We know how Aaron Rodgers is. They may get Jair Alexander back. They may get a couple other guys back from injured reserve. The Packers. So I think that's going to be a loss. That's a Sunday nighter on NBC. Then you have the Vikings. The first meet with the Vikings. Then you got at the Seahawks. We'll see where the Seahawks are by then. The Giants. We'll see where the Giants are. That's probably a win. But again, you never know with the Giants. And also, till they finish up against the Vikings.
Like I said, that could be a playoff clutching game for the Vikings. Could be.
Yeah. So I don't see. Look, I see maybe 2, maybe 3 wins. That's it.
Yeah, that's 3 wins. That puts you at 6-11.
Ooh, yeah, that's not going to be enough for Matt Nagy to save his job.
Nor should it be. As I said before, we're talking about the McCaskies.
Yeah, exactly. So, I know, right? Yeah. So,
let's move on, Lakeena. We'll say some of this for Christina when she joins us coming up here in a few minutes. You're listening to Second City Sports Live and in living color on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you. Let's give a little preview of some of the big games coming up this Sunday in the National Football League. Like I said, we'll give out our picks in our next segment at the bottom of the hour. But this is a good used to be AFC East matchup. Now it's just a conference matchup in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills at 6-3 will host the 5-5 Indianapolis Colts. Big game for both teams. Buffalo, they got back on track last week with a win over the terrible New York Jets. The Colts, they fought all the way back. Bad ankles with Carson Wentz and all at 5-5. Big game for both teams. I think it's bigger for Indianapolis. You cannot fall any further behind because look like the Titans are just now taking off. But but Buffalo, you would think that I'm not saying they can't be they can't have the same performance like they did last week on the road, but it's going to be just a little, even though they're home, it's going to be a little bit tougher against the Colts because the Colts they still have a very good defense.
They do, and it could be a battle of the defense. I mean, could weather be a factor though? I mean, maybe. I mean, they're going to be outdoors, so yeah. So you got to think that maybe advantage Buffalo. I mean, if you're Buffalo, I think you want to keep your distance because you know that the Patriots are lurking behind you, and so
especially after their win last night in Atlanta. Oh man,
yeah. Oh God, yeah, I know. And
back-to-back shutouts. Call me crazy again. Just time out for a minute. Just referring to last night's game, I caught the highlights. Like I said, I know some people say New England can take this to the Super Bowl. Stop it!
Okay, I know. People are already folks are already saying that. Oh, they should get a Super Bowl run together. I'm like, Okay, they haven't played Buffalo yet, and they haven't. Look at their schedule. The last couple of teams they played, last few teams they played, they have not played anybody over 500, and Atlanta's terrible.
Except for the Chargers. I know
Maybe
they have 500 now. Right.
the Chargers and the Bucks. That's it. They haven't played anybody else. They haven't played Buffalo yet. So for all these folks, look, they've got a good defense. Look, Matt Jones has been playing pretty well. Okay, yeah,
there's no pressure on him. That's why.
Exactly. And look, I know the defense is decent, but again, considering the teams they played, they haven't been playing any good teams. So let's slow down on the Super Bowl talk. Okay, could they make the playoffs? Yes, but still got a lot to play for. A lot of football to play. So
you gotta love that you gotta love that ESPN hot take garbage propaganda that's spreading over there. That we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, we'll leave it. Going back to Colts and Bills. I mean, look, it could be. Yeah, I think that this could be another one of those really good games, and we'll see if whose defense is. I know Josh Allen is a better quarterback. I think the defense is probably gonna be the key for both teams. And it should be a fun one in Buffalo. I think the score will be close. I know people are going to say this could be a blowout, but I think the score is going to be very close.
A couple other games before we hit the bottom of the hour break. Lions at Browns. Of course, the Lions are 0-8-1. This will be their second game on the road. Cleveland, Baker Mayfield has a toe, a knee, a shoulder. Looks like we're playing a game of operation.
No, exactly. Right, but I mean, yeah, it's just I've got nothing.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
This game unfortunately will not be seen in Chicago. You'll be seen in my living room via my computer. It's the Green Bay Packers traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings indoors. The Vikings are one game below 500. Of course, the Packers are 8-2. Of course, these teams split their season series last year as an NFC North matchup. I think the Vikings can hang in there with the Packers, but the Packers defense has been strong the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, yeah, I think this would definitely could come down to the wire here. I think as it usually does between these two teams. So, I feel like I'm not going to say it'll be a blowout. I think, like you said, I think it's going to be very close, like it usually is between these. These are two divisional rivals, so it's gonna, it could come down to maybe maybe a final possession, but we'll see. I mean, in NFC West, that's the 325 games. You got the Cardinals and the 3-6 Seahawks. I know you got to think that maybe Russell Wilson might be, starting to get into the rhythm here. Kyler Murray looks like he'll be able to play. We'll see if Hopkins is able to play. So, like I said, I think this could be another toss-up game. I think
so too. Like you mentioned, Russell Wilson did not look that good against Green Bay last week. Those 2 turnovers in the red zone cost Seattle with any shot of getting back into the game. Arizona, they looking at their schedule in the next few weeks. They could go on their slide potentially, but we'll see what happens. But I think this is it for Seattle this Sunday. They're at home. This will be Russell Wilson's second game back, his first at home in a month. So, like I said, the home field advantage goes to Seattle, but their season is on the line here. So we'll see what happens with that. Cowboys and the Chiefs at 325. I think this is a bigger game for the Chiefs, even though it's an interconference game. Dallas, if they lose this one, as long as they don't get embarrassed, shit that happened, they'll be okay. But this is a bigger game for the Chiefs. Everybody is saying that the Chiefs are back. We'll see. You playing against one of the best teams in the NFC, in my opinion, in the Dallas Cowboys.
This should be probably going to be one of those. I know some people already say this could be the Super Bowl preview, but look, I'm still waiting for the Chiefs to impress me. Like I haven't been impressed. Yeah. I haven't been impressed by the Chiefs the last few weeks, so I don't know what else to say. So, and I believe we got our lovely friend here. So, welcome from KXRB, Miss Christine Manika. Christine, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing? Oh, thank you, Sid. Thank you. Thank
you. Only for the Queen, Christine.
Stop. Actually, my grandma calls me Christine the Queen, if you want me to be honest there.
Shout out to your grandma.
I've had the name since I was a kid.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be fun. All right. So another matchup that I think Steelers and Chargers on the Sunday night. I think you got maybe that might be intriguing for some people. I mean, it'll be interesting though. It looks like Big Ben should be back, I guess, from COVID protocols, and the Chargers, they lost a tough one to the Eagles last week. What do you guys think about this matchup? Well, don't say your picks yet, but
like you said, they lost a close one to the Vikings last week. Of course, Joey Bosa, hopefully he returns because their Chargers defense is much better with him than it is without him. So, but if Ben Roethlisberger plays, it gives the Steelers that much better of a chance to win. Mason Rudolph, he looked okay last week in that tie against the Lions. I know some people said it should have been a loss, especially after that turnover that ended that horrible game, but it's really a toss-up. But some of that Big Ben plays, like I said, Pittsburgh has a better chance, but the Chargers, they're still one game over 500. If they say they're a playoff team, which they think they are, they better take care of the Steelers on Sunday. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. In my little cheat sheet, see, I got one too. I just have a big circle. I got a big circle around it, and I said, who knows? Because it really could go either way. You have the Chargers, who have been the team that's impressed me this season, in all honesty. Then you got the Steelers, who are still they're doing good. They're not like what they were last year, but they're holding on strong. But Big Ben is definitely the guy that's been leading them to these victories. He's been kind of that. Oh, I don't want to call him a veteran, but he is a veteran in that regard. But he's the guy that everyone is looking up to, is taking the lead from and whatnot. So maybe because it's a home game for the Chargers, they'll have a little bit more oomph to get that win. But with everything still up in the air, with Big Ben saying he could be back, he could not be back, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, we're running up against it, Christine. We got about a minute left before the bottom of the hour break. Me and Lakeena were just discussing this before you hopped on with us. Last night's 25-0 shutout with the Patriots shutting out the Falcons. Of course, they're now, I believe, 3 games over 500, referring to New England. And it looks like they're looking forward to at least wrapping up one of those 4 wildcard spots. And I said this was a ESPN hot take propaganda that I've been listening to all morning. Oh, New England could take this to the Super Bowl. Match up against Tampa Bay. I was like, stop it.
Yeah, I would tell them to settle down too, because Mac Jones, he's still young. This is his real first take of being in the NFL. So I wouldn't say they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I will say that they will be good contenders for postseason, but I wouldn't expect them to be in the Super Bowl at all. Is Mac Jones going to get probably the Rookie of the Year award? Absolutely. I have no doubt. He's been one of the best rookies that we've seen so far this season. Am I surprised that they got the win over the Falcons? No, because they've had their struggles for God knows how long, and they can't seem to get
back-to-back shutout.
Yeah,
good grief.
Exactly. So the fact that they're thinking, championship, settle down a little bit, and just maybe next year, they'll take it all in the Super Bowl.
All right, that's our girl Christine Manika from KXRB. Don't go anywhere, Christine. You're going to stay with us because the best half hour of the show is coming up next with our Week 12 NFL picks on hashtag Football Friday right here on Second City Sports. We're live and in living color. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. That's Christine. Stay right there. Sports Zone Chicago.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. In Sunday's Major League Baseball action, the Cubs got pounded 9-1 at home against Kansas City. The White Sox shut out on the road 9-0 at Tampa. NFL preseason on Saturday, the Bills hammered the Bears 41-15. Andy Dalton, 11 of 17, passing 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Justin Fields, 9 of 19 for 80 yards. Head coach Matt Nagy says Dalton remains the Week 1 starter and that Fields is ahead of schedule.
When you look at a guy like Justin and you see the things that he's doing, are there some things that he can get better at? Yeah, for sure. That's That's going to be, we're going to say that 3 years from now. But at the same point in time, for him, there's also things that he's doing better probably than we thought coming into this, which is good too. Like, that's what we want. We want that to happen.
Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
Blue Star medicated ointment works fast to relieve the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
It's amazing. It's like as soon as you put it on, you can feel it working. We've had Blue Star in the family for years. It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast or your money back.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday, baby, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Last segment of the show, last segment for the week. I'm Sid, that's Lakeena, it's Christine, as we will now give you our Week 12 picks from the National Football League. Lakeena, last week, as we said for the last 3 weeks, upsets left and right.
Yeah,
last
really.
week, last week was no upset. I know we all stunk it up, but what were the results from last week, and what's the standings overall?
Well, as I bring my get my little Excel chart out, we were not very good.
Thanks.
Right? We were not very good at all. I think. Hold on, let me get my get a chance to bring this up. But 6. Sid 6. I had 6, and Christine had 5. And
it shows the wrong upsets.
I know, right?
I was thinking about that all week. I was like, see if you're bringing it up.
Right?
But they did at least cover. They did,
yeah.
And you surely didn't bet that, but that's a whole nother
thing. No.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But Sid, you're still in the lead by 2 over me and by 4 over Christine. So, but still, like I said before, there's still some weeks left, so we could still catch up, Christine. And look, there's some, definitely some good games where we can kind of catch up with him. So don't feel discouraged, Christine. So,
and also picking the Jags again.
Oh, all right. That's all right, but all right, but so just the Broncos and the Rams are off this week, so if you have Matt Stafford or the Rams defense or the Broncos defense, feel free to adjust your fantasy teams accordingly.
Yeah, the Rams had the 49ers, and the 49ers had the Rams all over down their field last month. You saw what happened there.
It didn't go over well.
Didn't go well for Stafford's wife either, throwing the pretzel.
I know, right? That was
Did you hear about that, Sid?
Yeah,
I saw that.
Oh my gosh, what a world!
Yeah. This is like the second time she has her name was been thrown in the press. So the first time they didn't show her, it wasn't. She wasn't. There was somebody else on television, and then
the first time she got the wrong Kelly on television, and then they showed her.
Yeah.
So it's oh my gosh.
Yeah, and now the pretzel. Yeah, don't waste a good pretzel, folks. So don't do that.
They're like $10 a plate or something at these stadiums.
Something like that. Everything. Those things are high. Yeah, those things are high, folks. So let's get right to it. And the first game in the noon slate, you got the Saints and the 4-6 Eagles. Christine, you start this one.
Well, let's see. It's going to be a close one here. Jalen Hurts, he's been improving, I think, and but the Saints offense, they should be able to recover and they should be able to react to the Philly defense and whatnot. I know it's a home game for Philly, but I'm going to go with the Saints for this one. But it will be a close game.
We don't know if Saints running back Alvin Kamara is going to play on Sunday.
Yeah.
I know he was missing in action last week as the Saints lost to the Titans by 2 on the road. Philadelphia dominated Denver on the road last Sunday afternoon. This game will be seen in Chicago on Fox instead of Minnesota Green Bay, but that's a whole nother issue. Adam Amit, Bulls TV voice, would be calling this one for Fox, talking about the Saints and Eagles. I just don't trust the Saints on the road. Trevor Siemian, he didn't have that bad a performance, but do I trust him to do that 2 weeks in a row on the road away from the dome? I don't. I'm surprised. I'm going with Philadelphia.
I'm surprised too.
Well, I mean, oh gosh, this is another tough one. I mean, like you said before with Kamara, we're not very sure, and I think the Eagles actually looked pretty good against the Chargers. I might regret this later, but I'll pick the Eagles.
I'll be the last man out then. It's fine.
Still in the playbook from Lakeena.
All right, you got the 3-7 Dolphins against the 2-7 Jets. Joe Flacco makes his debut as a starter for the Jets.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Sid?
What? Are you laughing at me now? Come on.
No, I'm laughing at the Jets. It's Joe Flacco and this made-up quarterback controversy nonsense.
Oh, boy.
I know. Miami, I know they came off an upset win over Baltimore 10 days ago. They're favored by 2.5 on the road. There's no need to break down this game. Miami should be able to win this one. I'm going with the Dolphins.
Well, here we go, everyone. We got one bad team against another bad team. Which one
exactly.
Seriously, which one do you want to go with? Although I will say, I think I mentioned this before. One of my coworkers, he's a big Miami fan, and even though they won shockingly against the Ravens, he was still upset at that game. You know, Jacoby had to go down. Then they had to put all their trust back in Tua, and he still wasn't happy about that win. It was a tough win. They were kind of scrappy with Baltimore too. So this should see, now that I know that Flacco is the starting, I don't know who I want to go with, but in my gut, I want to say Miami just because they should be able to pull this one off. But then again, Joe Flacco was once a good quarterback, past tense being was once a good quarterback. But for now, I'm sticking with my gut and saying Miami.
Yeah, might as well make it a sweeper. I'm thinking Miami too. I mean, just because this game is just just awful. So if you're all you gamblers out there, stay away from this game. Stay away from this game if you're gambling. All right, you got the 3-6 Washington football team coming off fresh from an upset win against Tampa, and they faced the Carolina Panthers, the resurgent Carolina Panthers. You know what? This is another one of those toss-ups. I mean, can the Panthers win 2 in a row? Can Cam lead them to the promised land again? I'm gonna pick Carolina. I don't think Washington can do it two in a row.
Yeah, Chase Young, the star defensive lineman from the Washington football team, he's out with a torn ACL. He's out for the year. On the flip side, Cam Newton, I'm back. The star of the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are favored by 2 points at home. Usually the team that starts out as a favorite at home, they usually give 3. I don't know, maybe Vegas knows something that we don't know, that Carolina's only favored by 2, but I'm not going to fall for that nonsense. I'm going with Carolina.
Yeah, to make it short, we all saw what happened last week with the big Cam Newton return. I expect nothing less here, that he'll come back on the home field with a vengeance. He's also facing against his former coach, too. So, of course, he's going to want to show him a little bit something, too.
Ron Rivera.
Yep. So, I'm going to go with Carolina.
All right. So, another one, probably a intriguing one here in the noon slate on CBS. Unfortunately, people here in Chicago won't be able to watch it, but Colts and the Bills. Sid, you start.
Buffalo's favored by 7. We talked about this earlier. Lakeena, Indianapolis has crawled their way back to 500 with despite Carson Wentz's bad ankles and all. Buffalo, they got back on track last week with a big win over a horrible Jets team on the road after losing to Jacksonville on the road a couple of weeks ago. I'll make this short and sweet. I don't know what the weather report is going to be for Buffalo, but it shouldn't matter to Buffalo. All they have to do is run the ball, and Josh Allen, who's a top 5 MVP candidate for Buffalo, that quarterback play is going to be huge. So I'm going with Buffalo.
Yeah, we had a lot of big news for both of these teams, actually. Number one, Carson Wentz is a dad again. So I'm worrying he's going to be on the field. So there you go. And also, our former guy, Mitch, he's expecting his first kid. So there's a lot of good news going around for both of the teams. However, Indianapolis, they're about to get a rude awakening, I think, with Buffalo here. So I'm going with Buffalo. The good news can only last for so long for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm picking Buffalo as well. I think because they're mostly at home. Mostly because they're at home, I think. I think Josh Allen has a nice show, and I think the defense will slow down Carson Wentz in that offense. So I'm picking Buffalo. All right, you got the 0-8-1. Remember, they got a tie Detroit against the 5-5 Cleveland Browns. Christine, you start this one.
Well, this game shouldn't end in a tie. At least they didn't go 0-17 this year. But, Cleveland, it's a home game. We've seen their energy, short and sweet. Cleveland, I'm sorry. I can't go with Detroit. I just can't.
A couple of things here. Cleveland's favored by 10 points. 2, Baker Mayfield, as you know, Christine, it's like the old school board game of operation, like Allen Iverson. Every part of his body is hurt right now. So it looks like he's going to try to give it a go. And Lakeena, number 3, we get the all-brother crew back for Fox.
Yeah.
Noah Keep to lead, but replacing him this week with Gus Johnson will be LeVar Arrington. So LeVar Arrington, the former Washington football team linebacker and former New York Giant, and he's a new morning host over there at Fox Sports Radio. He's going to be making his NFL Fox game debut. Yeah. With that being said, I'm going with Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm picking Cleveland too. I think they're going to want to redeem themselves after what happened last week against New England. And like you said, this should be a fun one because LeVar's actually sounds pretty good on television. I've listened to him a little bit, so. Yeah, I think he should be a good one, with him.
Yeah, also one more thing too. He does a great job with Plaxico Blurs and TJ Exclusion is on their podcast Up On Game. For those of you that haven't checked it out, check out the podcast. They really bring in life lessons from a player's perspective.
Yeah, definitely a great podcast. So you can find that wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we have the 49ers and the Jags. Christine, you start this one.
Well, who do you think I'm going to go with, Lakeena? My last statement. Yeah, I'm not. I just can't. It's the 49ers. It's going to be a good one here. They need a win after losing against the Raiders. That probably has a sour taste in their mouth. So let's go 49ers and Jimmy G. Let's go.
Jimmy G looks like he's going to have another Steve Young type performance. I know that the 49ers are favored by 5.5. Could Jacksonville cover again? Could they? They're not going to win it, but could they cover? Go with the 49ers.
They could. Yeah, I think Jacksonville will cover, but I think the 49ers will win. I know it's a short week. They're traveling across country. They're playing a new game, but I just don't see them. I think they feel like they're kind of they're in a rhythm now. So I think they feel like they still have a shot to make a playoff chase. So I'm picking the 49ers.
Thank you, Rams, for crumbling under the pressure.
Yeah, that's it. Why did I say the Raiders? It's a Friday, guys. I've had a long week.
It's okay. We've all been there.
Gosh.
Okay. Texans and Titans. I'm going to keep it short. Titans in a landslide. Verbal's going to make sure his guys do not look ahead. So Titans in a blowout.
Sid, say with me. 1, 2, 3.
Titans. Tennessee. Yeah, yes. Tennessee Titans. Yes.
Just leave it at that.
Yep. Oh, well, P.S. I have Ryan Tannehill as my starting quarterback for fantasy. I'm trying to make it to the playoffs in my league. He better have a great day. He better not get injured. I'll leave it at
that. Right. Okay. NFC North matchup here. You got the Packers and the Vikings. Sid, you start this one.
Unfortunately, this game will not be seen here in Chicago. It will be seen on my television screen, on my television screen, and on NFL Red Zone. The Packers are favored by 2 on the road. Can Minnesota win this one? Yes. I know they had a big come from behind win at the Los Angeles Chargers last Sunday. Green Bay's defense has been on fire the last 3 weeks. It's going to be a close game. I don't like saying this, but I got to go with my head. I'm going with the Packers.
Here we go, everybody. This is the matchup that we've all been waiting for the NFC. Who's with me? This is one of them. I know Minnesota fans are psyched about it over here. Cheeseheads, they're psyched about it over here too. But it's Aaron Rodgers. You can't deny what he does. No matter who's behind him on the line, he's going to find some way to get it done. So it's Aaron Rodgers. I do know one of my coworkers is going to be at that game at US Bank Stadium. I just said, hey, just make sure you throw some cheese at the Packers. Like when that will keep them quiet for a little bit.
You might have to throw some at what's his face, the head coach of the Vikings.
Zimmer?
Yeah, Zimmer. Yeah, but they lose bad.
Well, Monday is going to be great for him.
Hey, right?
Yeah, right. Well, actually, you know what? So there's actually some good news. The game will be on here. It will be on here in Chicago.
Yeah, seriously, because I checked my guide this morning. It said Saints at Eagles.
Hey, let me tell you this, Sid. We had something similar with Kansas City was supposed to play here. It ended up being the Bears game. So I got a free one there. So who knows what the Kansas City fans did. So the guide could be wrong.
Yeah. But anyhow, I'll be watching that game in its entirety via NFL Red Zone and via my computer in its entirety. So, so it doesn't matter anyway. So I'll be watching it via this screen right here.
Okay, yeah, it's good. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure. Look, Packers. I mean, it's going to come down to the wire. It could come down to the final possession. So I'm going to pick the Packers,
which I expected to.
Yeah, and as usually does between these two. All right, the battle of the 5 and 4s in the first of the 3 o'clock games. You got the Bengals and the Raiders. Christy, you start this one.
Okay, this is where I meant to go with the Raiders here. It's going to be a good one. They are the ones that lost 2 weeks in a row, so the Raiders need a win here. They're at home. Vegas fans love the Raiders. Let's go with the Raiders just because it is a home game. I know Cincinnati's been lighting it up this season, but home turf, in my opinion, wins in some scenarios, and this is one of them.
I still believe that Cincinnati's a playoff team, but they've been struggling the last couple of weeks along with the Raiders. But I think the Raiders, after being embarrassed on last Sunday night against the Chiefs, my number one rule is, and I took this from Colin Cowherd, the team that gets embarrassed on national television the previous week, they usually come back to bounce back the next week.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping that trend alive. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm picking the Raiders too. I feel like this Raiders team is way too good for them to not. I'm sure they're going to want to redeem themselves after what happened with the Chiefs last Sunday night. So and plus I'm still not sold on Cincy yet. I'm not. So
really.
Well, I mean, look, they've you lose to the Jets, though. I mean,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, take it seriously, but look, it'll be close. But will I be surprised if Cincy wins? No, not at all. So, but it should be a fun one over there in Vegas. Should be another fun one up in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. You got the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Sid, you start this one.
For Fox, it'll be America's other game of the week. the Seahawks on my cheat sheet, they are favored by 2. I know, Christine, you're happy. Russell Wilson, this will be his first home game back in a month, second game back in a row. Of course, he did not look good last week. Those 2 turnovers basically sealed the fate for the Seahawks. This is the Seahawks season on the line here if they want to make a playoff run. Yeah. Arizona, they're still a good team, but it looks like they're going to potentially hit a speed bump here. It's going to be a close one. Seattle has a home field advantage. For Seattle, they're going to have to find a consistent running game. We didn't see it last week.
No.
In their defense, whoever's quarterback, whether it's Kyler Murray or Colt McCoy, they got to come up with some sacks and turnovers. With that, I'm going to say Seattle on a close one.
So do we know if Murray's coming back on Sunday or not yet?
They said
looks
he
like it'll be a game
practicing.
time decision.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, that
I know.
That
Yeah,
kind
I
of
know.
squeezes it a little bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a betting guy, stay away from this game because you don't know what's going to happen yet.
Yeah, you got to wait till the last second for this one.
Yeah, originally, with the hope of Murray coming back, I would say Arizona. But now that that's kind of a game time decision, it's Russell's first game back. I'm going to do this one more time with you two. If I get this pick wrong, because I originally said Arizona for this, but if I get this wrong, I'm holding it over you guys. So I'm going to say Seattle, but I'm calling it right now. I'm calling an audible that if it ends up being Arizona, I want that point.
Lakeena, aka Council, may I approach the bench?
Yes, you may.
Unlike last time, we did not pressure Christine to pick Seattle.
No, we didn't.
So, with that being said, would you grant her this request?
It's a holiday season. Why not?
Thank you, because I know you're going to pick Seattle too, Lakeena.
I am actually. You're
Stop
right,
yelling at the counselor.
I am. Yeah,
I want to be the only one.
Yeah. So I am picking Seattle. Murray, I don't know. He's a game time decision. They didn't look good last week without him and DeAndre Hopkins. So yeah, I think Seattle's prime for a redeemable game. So I'm gonna pick. I pick a Seattle just I think because they're also their home too. And weather could be a factor.
Just write it down in your Excel sheet. I'm calling the audible, and you accepted it.
I accepted the audible. Yes, I did. I accepted the audible. All right, another good one here. America's game of the week. You got the other game of the week. You got the Cowboys and the Chiefs. Christine, you start this one.
Boy, this is something else. So, but what is it? Is Kansas City favored over Dallas right now? Is that it?
Yep. Kansas City, as of right now, they're 2.5-point favorites, which means they gave 1.5 points to Dallas.
Yeah. So this is my thoughts. And I've said this since probably the first or second game of KC. And I said it last week too. They're not the same team of what they have been. They have been struggling and they just do not look like the championship team that the KC fans know and love. We've seen so much of lightning, I'll call it, with Dallas. Like this team, this Dallas Cowboys team right now, this is probably the best team I have seen in my recent memory. And I know I'm young. I really do. But this is probably one of the best teams from Dallas that I've seen in a long time, probably since the Romo ages. So I'm getting the upset here, and I'm saying Dallas. I know it's a home game for KC, but they've just been outstanding this year, Dallas. And I can see them being in the playoffs. I can see them being in the Super Bowl. I'm going Dallas.
I'm picking Dallas too. I think
just
because I'm more so on Dallas than I am with Kansas City, even though it is going to be an Arrowhead. I think Zeke's going to have a good game. I think Dak's going to have a good game. So I'm picking the Cowboys.
I'm going with the Chiefs, and I'm standing alone in this one. I don't think they'll have as a dominant performance as they did against the overrated Raiders last Sunday night, but I think Kansas City will do enough to run the ball with Darrell Williams, and we already know that the Chiefs have a big playmaker, Tyreek Hill. It was nice to see him show up finally on the score sheet last week. On the flip side for Dallas, for my fantasy team, I need CeeDee Lamb to stay healthy, and I need not Michael Gallup. What's the other starting wide receiver? Amari Cooper. Both of them give me one touchdown, and I'm good. That's all I got to say.
All right, should be a fun one. Another fun one here on Sunday night. You got the Steelers and the Chargers. Sid, you start this one.
This is a toss-up game. Of course, looking at my cheat sheet, the Chargers are favored by 3. Ben Roethlisberger is a game-time decision. Hopefully, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, hopefully he'll play coming off the COVID list. Joey Bosa, the same thing on the flip side for the Chargers. I know the Pittsburgh had it right there last week until they turned over in overtime.
Yeah.
They had it right there.
They had it.
And that's the same thing you can say about the Chargers, right? All season. The reason why they are 5-4 instead of 7-8 wins. What gives here, assuming both those players return, or even one of those players return? I know I'll take 2 and call me in the morning. I'm going with Pittsburgh. Even though the Chargers are a better team on paper, this is a toss-up. I don't know what words I could give you, but I'm going with Pittsburgh.
I'm looking at experience here when I look at these rosters. So you have Pittsburgh, who has a veteran quarterback, a couple of new players, but last year for Pittsburgh, that was really their rookie year with a whole bunch of new blood on the team. Now those guys, they have that year under their belt for the NFL. And I'm looking at the Chargers, the quarterback, not that much of a veteran yet. He does have some great players on the Chargers, but coming from like I said, from an experience standpoint, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh for this one, just because once they're in the game, they're in it. If they do stupid turnovers like they did at the end of the game last time, then they're not going to win it. So for now, I'm going to say the Steelers.
Oh boy, this is another one of those games that it really literally is a toss-up. Sid, like you said, I mean, this could go either way. I'll pick Pittsburgh because I think they're going to be really angry about what happened in that game against Detroit last week. So, look, I like Justin Herbert, but that secondary for the Chargers, that's what's kind of keeping them from, being a little bit further. So, they should have 7 or 8 wins right now. They don't mostly because of not just Herbert, but also to the secondary. They've been banged up there. So I think Big Ben will expose that secondary, and I think the Steelers will win this one. All right, short and sweet on Monday night. You got the Giants and the Bucks. I think Tom Brady. It looks like we're gonna have the Manning cast for this one too. So
Yay!
I think Brady's gonna want to redeem himself after what happened against Washington. So. I'm gonna pick the Bucks. I think Brady has a nice performance, and I think it looks like Gronk might be back. So I'm gonna pick. The defense will probably smother Daniel Jones and the Giants' offense. So I'm picking the Bucks.
I believe the Giants are coming off a bye week, and the last time they played on Monday Night Football, they gave the Chiefs all they could handle and actually covered the spread. The spread is 12.5 points in favor of the Bucks, and it's a home game for Tampa Bay. Fire those cannons, as Gene Deckerhoff, their radio announcer, would say, fire those cannons. The question here is, can the Giants cover? Can the Giants cover? I'll let you guys answer that for yourselves. But as far as the overall win, I'm going with Tampa.
I'm going with Tampa too. Ideally they should win this game against the Giants, and it was just weird for the Bucks last week. Brady, for one, gave his shortest press conference ever, and I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a Bill Belichick moment for him. Keeping the answer short, sweet, and saying goodbye, see you later. Except he did it with a smile. Exactly,
hey, everybody.
He did it with a smile on his face, though. Belichick will just stare at you. So that's the difference.
Yep.
But yeah, the Bucks should win this. I'm sure Tom Brady is getting his team on the right track, and Brett kind of gave him a little bit of a hard time too on top of that loss.
Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, you got the Ravens and the Bears. They've posted their injury report just a few minutes ago. Hicks is out with an ankle injury. A-Rob is doubtful with a hamstring. A. Jackson was limited in practice, so he's questionable, and so is Elijah Wilkinson with the back injury. He was limited, so gosh. Like I said before, this is going to be one of those really ugly games, but the fact that since there are so many injuries for the Bears, I know they're coming off a bye. I think Justin Fields will do just enough to keep the Bears in it. I think the Ravens will win this game, though. It'll be close, but I think the Ravens will do just enough to win it.
God, the Bears roster with injuries is like my fantasy team right now. Seriously, I mean, right before I hopped on with you guys, I saw that Mac had that season injury with now getting foot surgery, and what a shame there. Danny Trevathan is now out with the season-ending injury too. It's just a mess. You would think the bye week would help a team, but essentially this kind of destroyed them a little bit more. Now the Ravens had that embarrassing loss on Thursday night just a week ago, so they want this win. Now with all these injuries, I don't think it will be a close game of what they were originally predicting that it was going to be. I think Fields will have enough in the tank to do what he can. If it's going to go the way that it goes south, I don't think he's going to have much coaching support in that regard when it comes to them going into deep end. I've seen it. We've all seen it, I should say, on television just kind of unfold where if things are really hitting the fan, Nagy will kind of back off a little bit more and not try to guide him to at least help out a little bit. So with that being said, it's the Ravens. This is not going to be pretty at all, but Ravens.
The taps, okay.
That should be the thing song for Matt Nagy as he hopefully is coaching his final 8 games in the Bears helm. I'll make it short and sweet. I'm going with Baltimore. I know they're favored by 6. Can the Bears keep this close? They can, but listening to that injury report, that's not going to last for long.
My mind real quick.
I was going with Baltimore anyway, but
me too.
No matter what happens in this game, pay attention to what happens in the first quarter and how the Bears come out. If they come out sluggish or going through the motions, it's going to be an ugly day.
Yeah.
And those are your Week 11 picks of the NFL. You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Cindy Brown, KXRB's Christine Manika. I'm Lakeena McGee. What are you guys looking forward to this weekend coming up?
I guess
for me.
Okay, Sid, go for it.
For me, the Bulls. So hopefully wrapping up this West Coast road trip with the win against the Denver Nuggets tonight, of course, before hosting the New York Knicks at the UC on Sunday. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it was an embarrassment losing that 20-point lead to Portland. You had that game in the bag and you let your foot off the gas. And so hopefully the Bulls have learned their lesson. I think they'll come out strong tonight against Denver. Win or lose, they'll have a better performance. Remember that at this time last week, we were talking about the Warriors, and we learned that Vucevic was placed on COVID, and they had their worst game of the year. What did they do? They came back and won both LA games against the Clippers and against the Lakers. So the Bulls still look good. This is a team still growing, as I said at the top of the show. But despite what happens tonight, I'm still looking forward to Bulls basketball. You can actually watch them now. You don't have to hide under a cover anymore or quickly switch to another channel. Those days are done.
We hope.
Right. What about you, Christine?
You know, like I said, Sundays are always my day just to watch football and relax. But there's actually a couple of exciting games happening out here. So we have a Division II school out here. It's Augustana University. Back in the day, it used to be the sister college of Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois, which is why the names are the same.
Right.
So they have their first playoff game happening tomorrow, and then we also have a couple of Division I games with University of South Dakota and then South Dakota State University before they start getting ready for hopefully some postseason action there. So there's a lot of, despite being in South Dakota, there's a lot of sports that go on here, believe it or not.
Yeah, I saw that game with South Dakota State last week. That crazy Hail Mary.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Insane.
That was crazy.
Yeah, usually, so that was their first game coming back, like playing against each other since 2019. They didn't have it last year because they didn't have it last year because of the pandemic. I think at the time, one of the two schools had a massive COVID outbreak. I believe it was USD. So that's why they just canceled the game and shut it down pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Still a great finish in that game. For me, I didn't get a chance to talk with you, Sid, about the Bulls, but yeah, a tough loss, against Portland. But look, you're playing Denver, second back-to-back. I know they're not going to be in a very good mood after losing to the Embiid-less Sixers last night. So you got to think that Jokic in the game will not be in a good mood, but I think the Bulls should do enough. We'll be able to do just enough to win that game. Of course, the college football slate, of course, the NFL. Also, too, is a good college hoops. You got a lot of these holiday tournaments going on in Daytona Beach and in Uncasville. You got Villanova and Tennessee in a tournament in Connecticut. So this weekend, especially this time of year, you're seeing a lot of, great college hoops action as well. with college football starting to wind down. Just a lot of great stuff, but also too, of course, the NBA. Also, too, special shout out to all of the MLB award wins. Real quick, what any big surprises with the winners, you guys?
Yes. Bryce Harper. I didn't know how great of an offensive season that he had. Seriously, I was talking about this with one of my coworkers, and then with my boyfriend as well. You really don't hear about Bryce Harper now that he's on Philadelphia. So the fact that I saw yesterday that he got MVP, I'm like, wait a minute, what? That's the first time we've ever heard about what he's been up to, what he was doing. So good for him, that's for sure.
And also too, let's give a shout out to the Blackhawks. 4 wins in a row. They beat Seattle. The Kraken on TNT on Wednesday. Tomorrow night on Hockey Night in Canada, they'll face the Edmonton Oilers at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Connor McDavid and crew. So the Blackhawks have a tough challenge ahead of them. Yeah, offense should rule the day for this one.
I mean, look, Derek Kay, I think he's 5-0 or something, or 5-0-1. So it's taking
5-0, 4-0. Yep,
4-0. Yeah. So it looks like they look like more of a professional hockey team now. Which I don't know. Look, King played in the league. He's got a cup, so he knows he knows how to win. So hopefully,
I think it helps that they're turning a dark situation into something a little bit more enjoyable for the fans.
Yeah, anyway, I've definitely been checking out some Hawks games lately. Okay, Sid. Okay, so also to the Guardians, they're officially, the Cleveland Guardians. No more Cleveland Indians. So
baseball, yep.
As of 9, as of what?
Didn't
7?
you hear that they took the name from somewhere else?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think area roller derby team. But I think they gave a little bit of money too, so that's probably why everything is all good in that front.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Let's keep it cool, keep it clean, and no more drama.
They've done their research a little bit more,
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, come on. But also to Shohei Ohtani and Bryce Harper, speaking of, this is the first time since '87 that neither MVP played for a postseason team. Yeah. The Hawk, Andre Dawson, and George Bell, who was playing for the Blue Jays at the time, who won the MVPs in '87. So
Mr. Jerry Curl himself, True League Fence. Can you remember those commercials
on
GM back in the day?
Yeah.
After that year, he had a blank check and stayed with the Cubs through the '92 season.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And I know he hated that he couldn't wear the hat for the Hall of Fame.
I know
he really wanted to, but darn it. But even still, nonetheless, you can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can your lovely following follow you?
They can follow me at CManika and _KXRB.
And make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. And make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you follow War Media on all social media platforms as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to War on Anchor to catch the audio version of this podcast. We are available on all podcast platforms. Make sure you type in those search engine boxes, WARR on Anchor. And we thank you very much in advance for your support. And make sure you catch us. Go ahead, Lakeena.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. I didn't get a chance to do it earlier. That's why.
Yeah. and make sure you catch us every Monday and every Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Every Monday and every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. There'll be a slight change in schedule next week. We'll let you know about that ASAP for next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yes.
With that being said, Lakeena, close us out.
All right, you guys, be safe out there. Wash your hands. Be good to each other. If you're not going to get this vaccine, wear your mask. And just be safe out there and enjoy getting that last-minute Thanksgiving week shopping in. So for Sid and Christine, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you Monday.
Touchdown, Ravens! Holla!
Oh,